Good morning to all. On behalf of the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia, we want to say welcome to this opening conference. We ask that we all interact into this program at the appropriate time. We'll give our special statement. Once again, we say welcome.
We will now call on Madam Edwina Carr, who is the Director for the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion, to give a historical highlight on the department and that of the development of the gender policy, which we are here to launch today.
Our keynote speaker, His Excellency Oberon Sturgeon, Ambassador of Sweden, His Excellency Michael A. McCarthy, Ambassador of U.S., our Home Minister, Honorable Tigli Olandros Dixon, Acting Minister of National Defense, Brigadier General Geraldine George Johnson, Deputy Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of Liberia, the Honorable Director of the Liberia Fire Service, all of our distinguished invitees and guests, members of the Fourth Estate, members of the Armed Forces of Liberia High Command here present, directors and deputy directors from the Ministry of National Defense, our partner from UN Women, members of the gender unit, ladies and gentlemen. Since 2006, the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia have been committed to a security sector reform process consistent with the mandates of the Accra Comprehensive Peace Agreement. As part of this reform process, the Ministry of National Defense has been involved in activities that promote gender equality with the view of mainstreaming gender in the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia policies, programs, plans, and activities. In 2019, the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Manoia, further reinforced the concept of gender mainstreaming within ministries and agencies through a policy statement calling for all heads of government entities to ensure that gender departments are established in all GOL entities in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection. It was envisioned that the establishment of a Gender and Social Inclusion Department will not only promote the Ministry of National Defense compliance with the President's mandate, but also put the Ministry in a better position to effectively mainstream gender in all of its programs, policies, plans, and activities, thus focusing on the implementation of national and international frameworks on gender, such as the Liberia National Action Plan, copies of which you have before you, and the UN Resolution 1325 for Women, Peace, and Security. Gender activities in the Ministry of National Defense started as far back as 2012, when individual representations were done by appointment by the then Minister of National Defense, Honorable Barney Jeffrey Semuka Jr., on different occasions that required gender representation both locally and internationally. Representations were made locally and internationally on International Women's Day and internationally on programs marking the observance of the Convention on the Status of Women, CSWB in New York, USA. Representation was also made in Sweden. International representations were made by the following former and current employees of the Ministry of National Defense: Mrs. Beno Fania, Ms. Shelley Haluanga, Attorney Emmanuel D. Yates, Mr. Maximilian Tiago, Eventually, a gender unit was set up in 2016 with Edwina Carr as the gender focal point, assisted by Jackson Nyamiato-Bami as the deputy gender focal point. They were later joined by Edwin Smith, senior gender affairs officer in Asata Kuma, who was then the executive secretary in the office of the deputy minister for administration. With the setup of the gender unit, the Gender and Security Sector National Task Force was also established in the conference room of the Ministry of National Defense in March of 2017. The Ministry of National Defense then assumed the role as co-chair of the task force, which it currently holds. Since then, the Ministry of National Defense has played a pivotal role in gender mainstreaming through the gender unit in preparation of the report of the 9th CEDAW for Liberia. Moreover, the Ministry of National Defense through the gender unit contributed towards the preparation of the Liberia's second National Action Plan that we have before you on women, peace and security, 2019 to 2023, and became involved with its full implementation on the steering committee of the LNAP. The highest decision-making body of the LNAP is the Ministry of National Defense as co-chair. Moreover, the Ministry of National Defense through the gender unit has representation in presence of Edwina Carr Kuma on the technical working group, and Edwin Smith and Jackson Bami, who are representing the ministry on the monitoring, evaluation, and learning component of the LNAP. Additionally, over the last 2 years, approximately 40 personnel of the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia have locally benefited from various gender-related training with support from UN Women, UNDP, through Medical Liberia. The trainings that have been extended to the ministry and the Armed Forces of Liberia are in the following areas: women, peace and security, security sector reform, gender concepts and mainstreaming, project cycle management, ICT, which includes MS Windows, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, project writing and management, monitoring and evaluation and project management, procurement management, women in leadership, human resource management, results-based management, data collection tool, sensitive gender human resource management training. Subsequently, with assistance from UN Women Liberia, an international gender expert, Ms. Sarah Brown was hired to work along with the MOD and AFL to develop a gender policy and 5-year action plan, which is to run for 2021 to 2025 for the ministry and the Armed Forces of Liberia. Consistent with this gender policy, the Ministry of National Defense formally elevated the MOD-AFL Gender Unit to a department, and it's now the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion, and this happened in December of 2021. Currently, the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion and the Ministry of National Defense have the following staff: Edwina Carr, Director, Asata Kuma, Deputy Director for Social Protection, Edwin Smith, Senior General Analyst for Research, Monitoring and Evaluation, Jackson Nyamiato-Bami, Senior General Analyst for Plans and Policy. We still have a vacancy for Staff Analyst for SGDB, Sexual Harassment, Sexual and Reproductive Health Rights. The Department of Gender and Social Inclusion still awaits 3 personnel of the Armed Forces of Liberia to take up assignment within the department as Deputy Director for Integration, Senior General Analyst for Training, Staff Analyst for Women, Peace and Security. Today, we are here to launch the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion and the Gender Policy and 5-year Action Plan. Moving forward, the Gender Department of the Ministry of National Defense anticipates more gender-related training and support, especially to form part of the second phase of the GOL Gender Responsive Budgeting Project. We thank every one of you for coming and look forward to continuous support for activities surrounding the implementation of this gender policy a 5-year action plan. Thanks.
Overview of the entire program. Anywhere.
Again, that was the director of the Department of Gender and Inclusion. And we want to say thank you, madam, for that splendid historical hat. We will now turn to our keynote address. And our keynote speaker is His Excellency Urban Ostrom, Ambassador of. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister for Defense, distinguished representatives of the armed forces, security institutions, diplomatic colleagues, representatives from international organizations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be with you today, though it's a day where we grieve a beloved representative, but we are also in a time, an unprecedented time for Europe, where we have, as you know, an ongoing war, an ongoing invasion into an independent democratic country. I'm talking about the invasion by Russia in Ukraine. And it shows indeed the importance to discuss security arrangements. But it's also time for partnerships between countries and people who believe in peace, who believe in democracy, and who believes in international order and the respect of the UN Charter. I need to say that I regard myself as privileged to serve in Liberia, where we have a very strong and committed partner and voice for these principles. Yesterday there was a voting in the UN General Assembly on the basic need to get humanitarian access to the people in Ukraine. Liberia voted in favor and advocated for it and was a co-sponsor. Give yourself a hand. It shows that we need to come together when the world is in crisis. And that is how I perceive myself here. We are partners for peace, sustainable peace and security. And I need to say that I'm also privileged to see the voice and the actions by Liberia in the region, a region where we've had many coups, which is a big threat for democracy and sustainable development. Here Liberia is also a voice for the region, for democracy, for peace and sustainable development. So I want to thank you very much for being a partner on these key issues. And I think my main message to you today is what we discussed here today makes a difference in Liberia, but also outside, because Liberia can be a case which can be useful for others to learn from. Secondly, I need to say that it's also rewarding to be in Liberia to see the transition from war to peace. We have experienced the conflict, we've seen the transition where not least security sector reform has been key. We have all seen how the big peacekeeping operation UNMIL has served in this country, but has now left and stability is here. That is also a very important example for the region and the world to see that it's possible to move from war to peace. But we all also know that the journey hasn't ended. Peace needs to be sustained. peace is also about democracy. It's about rule of law. It's about respecting human rights. It's about transparency. And it's about accountability. Accountability from all institutions towards its population. And here the journey is to continue to have a sustained peace in Liberia. And therefore, this discussion is also so important. Thirdly, I represent Sweden. Sweden is a country far away. But as I said, we regard ourselves as partners. Sweden is also a small country. We have a lot of forests. We have some ocean. But we are indeed not so different when it comes to looking at the country, the need for democracy, and as I said, the need for security and international law and order. But Sweden is maybe a bit unique because we are also having a feminist government. We have a feminist foreign policy. I am a feminist. Why? Because I believe in the quite basic view that men and women are equal and they should then have the same opportunities for education, social service, ownership, judicial status, as well as be able to serve in the armed forces. So I think we're not so far away from each other when it comes to gender equality as well. And why is Sweden and why are we firm on this? Well, I need to tell you that 150 years ago, in Liberia we celebrated the bicentennial this year. Sweden 150 years ago was a very poor country. We were one of the poorest countries in Europe. We argue that with improved gender equality, equal access to education, service, but also legal status, that was a major force for our development and prosperity. So that's why we have a feminist government, a feminist foreign policy. And therefore, of course, it's so rewarding for me to be here and learn about your gender policy and action plan. And when we talk about development and also gender equality, we talk about 3 R's. The first one is rights. You should have the same rights. Legal status, but also opportunities, as I say. And that also goes to choosing your career. And I think here you show an example of the efforts you are doing with this action plan to give the same rights and opportunities for boys and girls, women and men. But it also goes with the second R, which is representation. I think it's important for you all to reflect upon the importance of the armed forces and the security sector at large. That you do not only implement your duties, you're a symbol of the country. And to have the armed forces and security services being representative of the whole society, men and women, makes a big difference. We are working on this in Sweden. We have not 50-50, but we are working on it. And we appreciate you also investing into this because we believe it's better for the implementation, but also for the representation, the third R. The second R. Here comes the third R, resources. It's key to invest into gender equality, to get, as I say, the same opportunities for both men and women. Our main vehicle for development in Sweden is a gender responsive budgeting. So when we do the national budgeting, we do have that perspective that we need to remember that both men and women needs to benefit from the budgeting. That is actually part of the Liberia gender policy. So we will continue, both Liberia and Sweden, to invest into this. I will not hold a long speech. I'm ending here. But I want to say once again, as you hear, we are partners. What you do here now is important for Liberia, but also for the region and the world. And I need to say that I'm so happy to see that this is not only a gender policy, it's a gender policy and action plan. Because we can agree on the principles, but if we don't implement them, they will mean very little. So I need to say thank you very much. Sweden is a partner to Liberia. We are committed to continue, and we are looking forward to the discussion, but not least to implement this action plan. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Keynote speaker here at this official launch of the gender policy of the Ministry of National Defense, the Ambassador of Sweden, committing
Give
Sweden
another applause to the speaker.
to the Federal of Liberia and the
Thank you
gender
very much.
policy.
It's spoken very well.
He also talked
We move on to remarks,
implementation, which is
and our first
in this
remark
process.
will come from the country director of Medical Liberia, and that's Anthony Ya David Powell. Sorry. Okay. It is the launch Excuse me. Jackson? Please, 1 minute.
So wherever you're watching from Bridge Africa, we are live at the Ministry of National Defense official launch of the gender
The
policy.
program that I have is a little bit different from what will be out there. So, okay, special remarks and launch of the DGSR and the gender policy by the Honorable Minister, who is represented by the Deputy Minister of Defense, Honorable Tipley Orlando Dixon. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Following the footsteps of preceding speakers, we would like to take this moment to remember our Assistant Minister of Defense for Administration, Madam Mamie Pearson, who recently departed. Without bothering much, I will kindly ask you to stand for a minute of silence. Thank you. You may please have your seats. I also ask your indulgence to proceed on the existing protocol. On behalf of the Honorable Minister of National Defense, Major General Daniel T. Ziangan Jr., retired, who is presently on official assignment with the Commander-in-Chief outside the country. Today we are here at this program officially launching the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion of the Ministry of National Defense and launching our gender policy. Well, it's been a difficult few days for us, members of the Ministry of Defense family and the Armed Forces of Liberia, and the Gender Department specifically, because the Assistant Minister was very instrumental in getting the Gender Department to where it is today. So it's difficult coming to conduct the launching of this department and the policy, under these highly emotional circumstances. Notwithstanding, we have a mandate as the Ministry of National Defense to continue the work. I want to first say a big thank you to our partners, the government of the United States of America, the government of Sweden, UN Women, UNDP, Medica, Action Aid, our governmental partners, and all those who, over the years, continue to help support our program. When we came into government in 2018, the gender program at the Ministry of National Defense and the AFL was only at the level of having a focal person. Our predecessor did lay the groundwork and did immense work in getting the gender program started at the Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia. Following up on the PAPD of the government, the administration of the Ministry of National Defense made a decision to implement and further upgrade the level of the program at the Ministry of Defense and the AFL and focus on implementation. Hence, we are at this program today to officially launch the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion of the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia. So to do that, I would want to please ask the director and her staff to please stand. Our director, Madam Ewinoka, has been a significant player in the gender environment in the Republic of Liberia. The Gender Department today is a result of the hard work that she's put into this. I'm saying that personally, and I want to be a little bit informal about this to have effect. When we got out of the Ministry of Defense and we started engaging with within the gender program, she was more of a nuisance to me with this gender thing. And I really mean that. She was all over me. They have gender this, gender that, this approval, that approval, that so many times I told my staff, my office is not a gender office. But again, over time, we also learn from engaging with these staff members. We learned a lot, understanding the significance of having an effective gender program. And so we became champion of ensuring that we institutionalize our gender program and that in line with government policy, that we are intentional at the level of the ministry and the armed forces of Liberia about gender mainstreaming. So I want to say thank you to you and the staff members for significant work put into this to get us where we are today. So on behalf of the Honorable Minister of National Defense, can you please remain standing? On behalf of the Honorable Minister of National Defense, I want to take this moment to officially announce the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion of the Ministry of National Defense, and that all associated structures have been ingrained into the operations of the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia. Thank you very much. We also want to say a special thank you to UN Women. That's another partner that I've been wrestling for a long time. Yeah. So every now and then it's the UN Women. What the gentleman name please? Kofi? And it's Kofi. So, like I said, I want to be a little bit informal if you allow me. And I will tell the director, look, Daniel Kofi does not work at the Ministry of Defense. Okay? And he's not a government official. You should remember that, right? So many times I made that statement. But the UN Women organization has been very, very helpful. Very, very supportive for our program. And to have this gender policy and action plan is largely due to the immense support we continue to receive from UN Women and other partners. I want to say, in this manner, we thank you. And so, in this manner, I think you all have copies of these. I want to say, on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Defense, again, I want to officially announce and launch the Gender Policy and Action Plan for 2021-2025, the Ministry of National Defense and the Armed Forces of Liberia. Now for us, we are not an organization that strive on ticking a box. What I mean is where, okay, the government says we should have a gender program, and yes, we have a gender program, and that's it. No. At the high level of the Armed Forces of Liberia, at the highest level at the Ministry of National Defense, we are intentional on the implementation of our gender policies. And by that, every effort at the level of the military and the ministry is informed by these policies. So whether we are recruiting for the Ministry of Defense proper, we are recruiting for the military, that recruitment takes into consideration the gender policy and all other documents, programs that we have acceded to. So we are very, very serious about the implementation. I had an occasion in 2019 when I visited our troops in the mission area in Mali, 2019. I arrived in the very, very sandy and dusty town of, Asian town of Timbuktu, with the help of our partner again, the United States government provided a ride. We arrived in Timbuktu, and because Timbuktu is, I think should be level 4, as per UN security standards, status, because it's an active area where there are terrorist elements. The armored personnel carrier assault protecting the base. Behind one of the turrets was a female soldier wearing a UN emblem. And that soldier was a Liberian, Armed Forces of Liberia soldier. And it struck me, it dawned to me, the significance of our gender program. Supporting our female personnel and making sure they have all the necessary opportunities to advance equally as our male personnel, because they are contributing at the same level in the armed forces of Liberia. So again, without much ado, and because time is well spent, I want to once more say a big thank you on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Defense to our partners, all of our partners, our foreign governments, our international NGOs, local agency representatives, for all the support we continue to give our program. We are also committed, we're recommitting ourselves again to partner with all of you to ensure the implementation and the success of our gender mainstreaming program at the Ministry of Defense and at the national level. Thank you very much.
What is here? Official launch.
We say so much thanks to you, Honorable Minister, for the statement. We will now move to remarks. We understand Antonia Mary Powell is on her way. I don't know whether she's in the audience. If she's not here yet, may we move to our next invitee, who is the Country Director of Action Aid, Madam Elizabeth Barr Johnson, for remarks.
Thank you very much. So let me stand on the existing protocol. On behalf of the senior leadership team of Action Aid, we want to extend thanks to the Ministry of Defense for inviting us to this event. We see this as an historical event because over the years, Action Aid is a gender justice, social justice, and climate justice organization that works specifically to promote the rights of women, girls, and other marginalized groups. So when you are talking about launching on gender and social inclusion policy, it fits well with our country strategy, and that is why over the years we've been supporting the security sector, working with the Ministry of Defense to ensure that the issue of female mercenaries in the sector. The implementation of this strategy is something that we are interested in, and we will continue the support, specifically working with the General Department. One of the things we also saw in the strategy and listening to the Deputy Minister, he said that they are intentional. And when you're talking about you being intentional, we know that you're going to be taking affirmative action to ensure that the issue of women and other marginalized groups taken into serious consideration. So it's not just in the sector of recruitment, but like we say, provide a space that they can meaningfully participate. So we will continue the engagement with the department. So let's talk most often. We will see what we can be able to provide support when it comes to training around the issue on women's rights. Because I listened to when she was making mention on some of the trainings that is talking about gender concept, mainstreaming and what have you, but it's also key to have a specific knowledge when it comes to women's rights, and also to be able to do issues from the human rights perspective. And this is where we come from, because we cannot talk about equality when you don't look at a specific issue, when we look at, say, equity. So for us to be able to do that, we want to say, how do we do that on that feminist lens? So again, we are making our commitment to the implementation as Action Aid. Our doors always open, and let's continue the partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam, for that beautiful remark. We will now ask the representative from the United States Embassy to come and provide the remark.
Good afternoon. First of all, on behalf of the U.S. Embassy community and the U.S. government, please pass our sincerest condolences on the passing of the assistant minister. And good afternoon again, distinguished guests, UN and other international representatives, members of the Ministry of National Defense, and members of the Armed Forces of Liberia. I'm obviously not the ambassador. I am Lieutenant Colonel Mike Clark, the Marine Attaché at U.S. Embassy Monrovia. On behalf of Ambassador McCarthy, I would like to thank you for inviting me to speak today, and I'd like to congratulate you on the official launch of the Department of Gender and Social Inclusion, the MOD and AFL Gender Policy, and the 5-year action plan. Ensuring gender equality, promoting meaningful participation of women across all ranks, and ensuring the safety of women are all critical components to maximizing the effectiveness and capabilities of the Ministry of National Defense and the AFL. This is because women have always had, whether we recognize it or not, diverse roles across the entire spectrum of conflict. By enabling a better gender balance, of perspectives throughout military plans and operations, the MOD and AFL will be better equipped to not only ensure Liberian national security, but also regional security through the MOD and AFL's support of multiple peacekeeping operations, like the Deputy Minister alluded to earlier. So as a member of the U.S. military and a representative of the U.S. Embassy, I stand here proud of this momentous occasion. I look forward to seeing how the department and initiative launched today will improve the MOD and the AFL. And I stand ready to continue to work side by side with the MOD and AFL to create a more inclusive and ultimately more effective military fighting force. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next remark will be offered by Honorable Alex Dixon, who is the Director of the Liberia National Fire and Rescue Service.
Again, we want to say thank you for another day that Lord has made. On behalf of the Liberia National Fire Service, we extend our condolences to the family of MOD for the loss of your minister. May her soul rest in peace. The Excellency, the keynote speaker, Ambassador Treaty, Special Representative of the U.S. Ambassador, Deputy Minister of National Defense, President Chief of Staff, the guardian men of the Armed Forces of Liberia, and officers and officials of the Ministry of National Defense, the Ministry of Justice, representing the Attorney General, we want to say thank you for coming. And also to the UN Women, our special partner from the National Fire Service. We sometimes when we go to programs and we hear people naming partners, but then assisting them says the concept of our practice. For the fire service, our only partner is UN Women. So thank you for your invitation. Thank you so much. Because when it comes to the folks, in the drawdown of only Oklahoma and whatsoever from Liberia, the fire department was left out of everything. And when we took over, we did everything, and the UN moved into our aid to help us in preparing our general policy that we just received for human arrival from the States that will be launched very soon. So we want to say a special thanks to you, Mr. Kofi, and your team. And to the Swedish Embassy that they helping us, we say thank you so much. To the Ministry of National Defense, everything that has been said, the most important thing that we all look at is implementation. It is important that we receive documents, but the action of these documents, it is important for our sector. Because when you check in our portfolio, there are so many documents that have been prepared. That donors, that institutions. But the challenges that we face in our country is the issue of implementation of documents that have been prepared. So we will encourage, it is important that documentation, the implementation of these documents is the goal in fulfilling the policy coming to pass. 3 days ago, I received a receipt of document because we are going to get into training of 175 countries. So when I received the document, the request from our training school, they did some listening, and at the end of the listening, I saw something there. I said, what is that? Really get something that concerning female. He said, yes, you know the female will come and prepare together. So I called the general chief and I said, why the people included something for female? So it tells you that you guys are doing something about women that are taking part in the training and things that they should use during the time of training. So that's why I said, well, thank you so much, Dennis. I didn't know about days that when female go in for